Alright, so welcome everybody. This is F-Zero AX. Yeah, I will just count you down. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. So, as I already mentioned during the GX run, this game, despite using the same tracks as are in the AX Cup, the physics are completely different, which means it has some nice little tricks to it as well. It has its own unique set of physics, which allows you to do crazy stuff like this. You just go kind of fast. Yeah. So this track is very basic, and it allows for very easy T-drifting, which stands for turbo drifting, by the way. That usually doesn't happen. So boosting accelerates the effect. Just generally, you want to be turning as little as possible, because that loses you a lot of speed. So, if at all possible, you want to go in a straight line. You want to dedicate yourself to the line, and then you make a turn. You just keep going. So, yeah, this track, as I said, very simple. There will be more complex tracks later on. That'll be more than just this. At that point, I will also struggle quite a bit, because you might imagine that it's very difficult to handle a machine in tight turns going at this speed, especially because the controls in AX are a lot more sensitive, because they're intended for a steering wheel. Also,
Yeah.
we're racing the staff ghost, so you'll see me lap him a few times.
Yeah, the Steph Ghost does not use the steeper technique, so it gets behind by quite a lot. So this is also the arcade counterpart to F-Zero GX, and you can see like there's a lot of similarities, like the tracks, the graphics, but yeah, as Vallkyr stated, the physics are completely different, and also the tricks are different, as you can see on this T-Drift, which is you could like compare it with snaking, but
Yeah, it's kind of
still
like snaking
quite
in a straight
different.
line.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's like its unique little thing. So yeah, it's worth mentioning that I'm playing this on Nintendo, which actually it's really neat. It emulates the pilot card that you can get from the actual machines. That'll save your data. It allows you to get a custom machine and all sorts of cool stuff. So right there, it just like automatically inserts it. It's very neat. And yeah, it also does mean that you get the screen at the end with the shop that it says like you can buy stuff. Unfortunately, I've not really found a way to circumvent that, which means that there's a lot of downtime in this run, which is why this is more of just like a showcase than like a serious category, in my opinion. But still, like, it's a very interesting speed game. Like, there's so much potential, and there exist very few videos of it. Like, recently, some people have been picking it up again, but most of the like world record videos are like from way back in the day, or they just don't exist, because it's very difficult to film this on an actual arcade machine. So this is going to be a little bit more difficult to drift on, especially this part. If you go over certain parts at a high speed, you'll lift off, and that means you also regain your grip, which is bad because that interrupts your T-drift and it sends you just like strafing right into a wall, which will slow you down. So I just let off my T-drift for a brief moment there to make sure I don't crash completely. I'm also using a technique that's not really used in GX, but it's basically blast tapping from the 2D games. Because this thing is very drifty, it helps me like regain my grip in a sharp turn. Yeah, it is kind of funny.
Yeah.
I mean, part of the walls being so bouncy is just me going so fast. If you go slower, they aren't quite as bouncy, but they are definitely bouncier than they are in GX. Like, it's weird, those little differences, like the changes they made. Since AX came out first, I guess they like may have incorporated some of the feedback into making GX. Maybe it's just like design choices, I'm not sure. Either way, it's like really interesting. And also, with this being played on a controller instead of a steering wheel, the controls can be a bit janky. Yeah, There's the issue of sensitivity, because you don't have like a full wheel to turn, you just have the analog stick. You don't have a lot of buttons on the steering wheel, so side attacking, for example, is bound to double tapping the strafe buttons. And there goes my video. Something disconnected? Alright, we are experiencing some technical difficulties, so bear with us for a moment.
Yeah.
I'll merge it to intermission real quick. In the announce.
It's also off on the Wii.
Apparently my microphone was muted, so I say it again. We have some technical difficulties here on site, so give us a quick moments and we're gonna resolve them. We will be right back in a few minutes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what?
Did we turn off? What?
That's
What the fuck?
Interesting.
I've been dropping a few problems. Everything works in this.
Yeah.
What the
I
hell?
mean, I did hear some like cables rustling, so I thought maybe something got disconnected, but yeah.
That's a good call.
Okay.
Did you
Yeah.
finish the track? Or
Yeah, it's loading. It is doing
takes a
stuff.
little while?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's trying to initialize the card reader on my Wii. Okay, and then I have to redo this setting again.
Alright guys, we are finally ready for our next game, F-Zero GX. So, no, this time for real, yeah, you may have noticed the Wii died. we hope this was the first and last time, so let's give it back to our runner.
Okay, so I guess we'll just continue this from here. So I guess we'll just count you down again for the timer. So 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, I have no idea how that happened. I'm not sure if it's a problem with my Wii. I've never had it crash before playing this game or anything through Nintendo, but something went wrong, so we're just gonna keep going. And we're going on to the next track. So this track is actually like really difficult to play on. Like in general, like in GX when you have more control over it, it's already like very inconsistent. But when you're going at these speeds, it's even worse, so... Yeah, like you tend to lift off and then the air physics just kinda mess you up.
Yeah, and also this game is like kinda more drifty. Like in GX you can usually keep your grip. Yeah, with T-Drift you're basically always in a state where you're on a grip, so yeah.
Yeah, I guess I never really explained how T-Drift works. You break your grip and then you strafe to a side. And then you just let go of the control stick again, and then you're going in a straight line. So there's that. Actually, it only works this way with certain custom machines. If you want to do it with the... Okay, good turn. If you want to do it with the default machines, then it works a bit differently. Your best bet would be to use Fat Shark. But interestingly enough, it's not very good at holding a T-Drift going straight. Instead, it gains speed from turning, whereas this is like the other way around. So it's very interesting like how the tech differs depending on the vehicle.
And yeah, also the reason why you see spin attacks is because when you spin attack you lose grip, so yeah, it lets you do those T-drifts a lot easier.
No, it's just because I'm alternating between pressing L and R, and that's how you spin attack. So at times I have them held at the same time, but you know, the spinning does help with breaking grip. Usually I just like tap the brake button, which will get the job done.
And also with the vehicle choice, this is actually a custom machine, so yeah, you can build custom machines of different parts that the game gives you, and this one is specifically made to get as fast T-drifts as possible.
Yeah, I used to use Dark Condor instead of Dark Krampus, but this one has slightly better acceleration, which is very useful for T-drifting. Yeah, just in general, the names in these games are pretty funny. So yeah, like, you get points depending on how well you did during the race. Like, you'll get points for beating staff goes, you get points for, like, not hitting walls, for destroying vehicles in Grand Prix mode, all sorts of stuff. And then, depending on those points and, like, some other stat, you get a pilot rank. So recently I ranked up to the Kaiser rank, which I believe is for 6 million points, and then beating a bunch of staff ghosts as well, which I've beaten all of them. And then there's also requirements for having a certain win percentage in Grand Prix mode on all the tracks, and then there's also one for destroying vehicles, which that one is the most tedious to grind. I know one of them is at 777 kills, which, considering there's 29 enemy racers per race and it's like impossible to get them all, you're gonna be doing this a lot. It's very grindy, and the rank doesn't really do anything. It's just kind of like, it's there to show off. So I never really bothered to grind for that.
Yeah, another cool feature of the AX Arcade is that you can like put in your memory card and then yeah, basically get parts from the arcade by playing on the arcade version.
Yeah, unfortunately Nintendo has not managed to set up the memory card support as of yet. Many people have looked into it, but so far it's not been successful, which is actually quite unfortunate, because there is a custom machine that would be better than the one I'm using right now, but you can't make it with the parts you get in AX. You'd have to use GX Garage data to load it into the game. So unfortunately, there's some records that might just be out of reach with the current vehicle we use. I'm gonna be very careful here, because, well, this track is difficult enough, and especially when going at high speeds, you tend to just fly off, so I'm trying to just make this as clean as possible. I'm still trying to go fast, of course. Okay, well, I disconnected from the track, which happens, but thankfully this game has respawns, unlike GX normally does. Yeah, it definitely feels like it's easier to just get thrown out of the gravity zone. I mean, it helps that you're going like over 2,000 kilometers per hour. That's not a good landing. But that's alright, because T-Drift has amazing acceleration, so we're right back up to a good speed. Trying to limit myself to around 2k, so I don't fly off too much. Actually, a really good landing. I like that. And now I want to land here. Oh yeah, one thing you also might notice is that some of the tracks have a different amount of laps. In GX it's all 3 laps, in this game it differs. Like Sonic Oval was 8 laps, Screw Drive was 6 laps, and this is 3 laps, and the next 2 are gonna be 3 laps as well.
Which is kind of reasonable for an arcade.
Yeah, like you don't want to be playing for over 10 minutes, like otherwise people would just be hogging the machine all day, so I wanted to change it up a bit. So yeah, these freezes that you see are just from USB loading. Unfortunately, there's not much we can do about it at the moment. It is actually possible, if you're pressing A during this screen, to skip forward and not have the F-Zero license load in. And that means you can't use your custom machine. So in that case I would be stuck with Fat Shark, which would be a pretty big time loss. So yeah, this is Fun the Road. It's just like in GX, it's just a really nice track. It's pretty flat, so you don't have to worry about like losing your grip, or rather regaining your grip by going into the air. So it's just really nice to play on.
And it also gives you a lot of space for T-drifting.
Yeah, that's also really nice, except for, you know, these parts. I'm gonna try my best to keep some speed. Okay, that's not bad. And then, just like in GX, we can do the little jump here. Okay, I'm gonna drift off to the side. Most of them are banked perfectly. Then there's a few of them that are just like this one is perfect. Like, you don't have to do anything other than hold straight to the left. But then, yeah, the really thin part really messes you up. And then once again, blast tapping to get around the corner a bit quicker. Very unfortunate bounces. Yeah, and since Trafe is kind of like dependent on your speed, when you're going really fast, your Trafe just goes like super powered. So it's very easy to just like lift off the track and just within a matter of frames, you're pretty much gone. Okay, now hopefully we don't hit a wall. Nope, we hit a wall. It's fine. Again, it's only just like a small skip. It's nice to get. And that's the strafe at work. It's like being unable to center on the refill, but that's fine, because boost is not actually very significant in T-Drift. Like, it's very powerful on its own. In fact, Yoshi-fan recently did a run with T-drifting on Chapter 4, which is like really long straightaways, and even without boosting, he got up to speeds of over 5,000 kilometers per hour. So seemingly there's no speed cap for T-drifting, at least until you hit the normal speed cap of 10k, which would overflow your speed back to 0. I'm not 100% sure, but I would assume it's the same. That's unfortunate. Yeah, like you'll never have the chance to accelerate that much in AX, so it's not really an issue anyway. Custom tracks, yeah, that would actually make this a lot different. Or like pathing, like they could do some crazy stuff.
Yeah, I think you can also spell the shift boost in this game, but
Yes, you can.
they are not as important. Especially if you have T-Drift where you go
Yeah.
super fast anyways.
Like T-Drift, at least when you're using max acceleration settings, it's just like your main, like it's the best way to go around. Except for space flying, which can also be considered like a separate thing. Because space flying, just like in GX, it does exist here. It does allow you to skip the majority of tracks. And yeah, it's not as much fun as T-drifting. It's a lot less about like maneuvering the track, rather just like maneuvering in the air to hit invisible checkpoints, which it's interesting in theory. I do really like that, but when it comes to doing runs, it's not the most interesting thing to do and watch.
Also, there is a rumor that the F-Zero AX is like completely in GX. You can actually enter that with action replay codes, but it's actually different. Like the physics are kind of a little different in that version, I say, of AX. So that is why we need like a separate ISO for F-Zero AX.
Yeah, exactly. Like when you use the action replay code to access the AX that's in GX, basically what it does, it just loads the menus, it loads all the AX assets, but since the physics changed between the two games, that's different, so you don't get T-drifting. In the end, you just get a less fun way to play the AX Cup because of you having more downtime, like not being able to do the full cup at once. Okay, kind of unfortunate. Like with T-drift, it can be really hard to adjust when you're like about to go off course, because like every adjustment you make is like very extreme, so it's hard to find a balance at times. Okay, we got it. Just a little platform skip. And here, just like a nice bit of T-drifting in a straight line. Okay, now I think in theory it should be possible to do the same spiral skip as we do in GX, but with these physics, I've never seen it done, at least. It's very difficult, because normally the MTS sets you up perfectly, but you can't MTS in this game because the controls just don't work out that way. Ah,
Almost.
wow, puts me all the way back here. That's good. So you just have the time extension mechanic when you're playing. At least I think that's also included in the AX and GX. But even so,
Yeah.
like time is rarely really an issue. Gonna be careful not to lift off. One thing I've noticed is that when you enter the air with this vehicle, you just seem to lose all your speed. I think that's just because of how lightweight it is. It's only 690 kilograms, I think. So yeah, the game just like handles weight very strangely. Very unfortunate. Okay. That's a good skip. Can actually go really high up if you strafe to the side.
I think this is also the last track, isn't it?
Yes, this is indeed the last track, so whenever I finish this lap, time will be coming up. Yeah, 20 seconds, give or take. Yeah, like, as soon as you lift off, you just, like, seem to lose all momentum. Like, I'm not saying it's impossible to do the skip, it's just... You would need to find some other setup for it, because right now it's not even close. Okay. So, get ready on time, and... time. I'm not sure how accurate the time really is with the break in between, but it doesn't really matter. Like, the main thing I wanted to do is show off what the game looks like, what kind of potential the game has, and hopefully some other people might be interested in running it. It's a very interesting experience. So yeah, thank you all for hanging out, and thanks for watching the F-Zero block. It's been a blast, and thanks BSG for having me.
And if you're interested in running